This happened to me a few years ago. It was New Year's Eve. And I had just been out in the city to celebrate with 3 of my closest girlfriends. At the end of the evening, when we were all exhausted and ready for bed, one of our friends traveled to her house near the club, while the others made the hour-long trek back to our home suburb. There were 3 of us together, all females. Trip to our suburb typically involved a 45-minute-long bus trip, and then an Uber or taxi to our houses. I have lived in the area my entire life, and I am very familiar with the most convenient way to get to my house. On this particular evening, we got off the bus and I booked an Uber with my phone. It was around 4 a.m. So you can imagine our remote town had a very little road traffic at this time. A car pulls up at the bus stop, as this was the first car we had seen since arriving. And no one else was around except us. We assumed it was our ride and got in. Our Uber driver was a Russian man with a very thick accent. Although he didn't speak a lot, I immediately noticed that he was taking us in the wrong direction of my house. But I figured it's fine. Sometimes the GPS take drivers on different directions. So I brushed off the thought. Then 10 minutes later, I get a text message that my Uber driver is arriving at my pickup destination. I looked at the driver beside me, angry that I was too tired or intoxicated to remember the text message you receive before your ride pulls up, but also terrified that I may have gotten my 2 best friends, and myself, into a vehicle with a man we didn't know at all. My actual Uber driver then tried to call me, presumably to find out where we were. But I ignored the call, not wanting to alert the man who'd actually picked us up. At that point, I still hadn't said anything to my best friends, but I asked the driver if he will stop at a service station so I can grab a drink of water before we continue the journey, because I felt sick. He told me, "We aren't far from your destination now." But I insisted, so he agreed. When we arrived at the service station, I asked my friends to get out with me, desperately, and they obliged. I explained the situation to them, and we all agreed to tell the driver that we were going to walk to a friend's house nearby and not to worry about the rest of the trip. He seemed frustrated and insisted to take us. But we refused to get back in the car. We ended up getting a cab back home from there. I'm really glad my friends were with me, because I feel like if I were alone he wouldn't have been so accepting of my request to pull over, and getting out before finding out the intention.